Hello, everybody. Welcome to the World of Dragons podcast, the podcast where 2.5 dragons get together to discover, review, and discuss dragons and dragon-centric content. Something like that. It changes slightly every week.
But not today, because we're going to be having a very long debate about hoards.
Debatable debate.
Yes, very debatable debates.
We're trying a debate, but we don't really have a structure to it because there's 3 of us, and you know what? We're just going to have fun with it. This is our second episode in our series of low mental stress content because holidays, my god.
Holy shit.
Holidays, and also Ray and I are currently playing World of Warcraft Dragonflight for an upcoming episode. And,
Dilettante build.
well, that's fine. It's
Because it's WoW.
It's an MMO, and I don't blame anybody for not wanting to get into an MMO because then you run the risk of becoming
Falling in love with it.
Falling in love with it. Yeah, I've played WoW before. It was okay. Way back in Cataclysm, but I got back into it a month before the expansion dropped, and I was like, yeah, it's World of Warcraft. But now that the expansion's dropped and I'm playing it, and it's a complete 180. It's so wonderful.
Spoilers for the future episode. My god.
It's not really. It's
now they know how you feel about it.
It's great, but we're doing less of a review for the World of Warcraft episode, more of talking about the lore, right? I mean, we'll do a little bit of a review, but
it's kind of both, yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, it's good.
So far. I think we're halfway through the story. It depends how much story there is at max level.
I believe at least I am 4/5 the way through the story. But there's just been some issues where an entire map zone keeps crashing because there's so many people in it.
Kind of hard to tell how far we are because, like, in Final Fantasy, the quests have levels, so you can, oh, I'm at the level 65 quest, but no, Warcraft is just like, nope, just go for it.
Yeah. I mean, you hit, this isn't a spoiler, but taking a fresh 60 into the area, doing just story quests, you'll hit 70 before you finish the, if you do any side content, you'll hit 70 sooner.
So, Dilettante, how have you been enjoying the video game? No.
First of all, MMOs, you will either enjoy
or loathe.
Not for me. For me, I got a weird love-hate relationship for MMOs because after a certain threshold, it goes from being fun to just turning into a second job you don't get paid for.
That is true.
I mean, that can technically be any game. That's not unique to MMOs, though MMOs are more likely to do it.
Yeah.
MMOs are almost guaranteed to do it. That's their whole model. They want them coming back again and again to grind for that very rare thing.
Well, so that's the way World of Warcraft used to be. This expansion apparently has flipped all that. It's much more respecting of your time, and a lot of hardcore people are really upset about it. And they're like, "There's nothing to do," and people are like, "Calm the fuck down. Go level an alt." Just real quick, little tiny story. The first MMO, I think. The real MMO that Dilettante's played was Final Fantasy XIV, because I forced him to. And,
that's pretty much the only thing. I lasted 60 hours.
He played a black mage, and there was one dungeon where he pulled a boss before everyone was ready, and the tank goes, "Dilettante, the fuck?" It was just the greatest thing ever. We got married in Final Fantasy. I have the video for that if anyone wants to see it.
And then when Dilettante left, I married Bantam.
Yeah, after Dilettante left the game, I divorced Dilettante and I married Ray. Gotta get that ring that lets me teleport to Ray.
Also the XP buff.
5%, or was it 10%?
I don't know. It's really small, but it's like, you know what? Fuck it.
May as well, yeah.
A buff is a buff.
Yep.
Anyway, did we say what we were doing this week?
Yeah, we're debating about hoards. I told you. I already told the audience.
Couldn't remember if we said it or not. All right, so before we get into that, is there any dragon news?
There is. Unfortunately, it's all sad.
All right, then we'll just skip that then.
No, we are going to review because some of this is actually very personal to me. The new Transformers trailer, which was going to be it's a new Michael Bay movie, I guess. And
that's the worst news ever.
Yeah,
Lens
hold
flares
on.
and explosions.
But it is going to be about the Beast Wars. You got the Primals and the Terracons and the Predacons, apparently. Well, when I heard Predacons, I was like, oh, sweet. Transformer dragons, like from Transformers Prime. I did not see any of that in the trailer, so as far as I can tell, there were 0 dragon Transformers, so 0 out of 10.
I mean, would they necessarily show it in a trailer, though? Like, that seems like something that they would be like, haha, reveal.
They would. I feel like they would tease that in order to be like, oh, shit, I gotta go see what that is, or something. Like, something to tell that that's a dragon.
It's a Transformers movie with Michael Bay at the helm. They don't need to tease shit. Because everybody knows what they're gonna get. Big robots, explosions, and lens flare.
Well, even that, apparently the Terracons, the robot, the Decepticon dinosaurs aren't even going to be dinosaurs from what I read. Apparently they're going to be fucking just regular cars.
I mean, that was the whole point of Beast Wars, was they were dinosaurs.
Yeah, no, not in this movie.
Yeah.
Unless I misunderstood it, but I'm pretty sure like the Autobots are the only ones to transform into actual animals.
The only dragon news I have is Lil Straza is the cutest thing in the world.
We will protect Lucky Duck with our lives.
Yep.
It was a surprisingly good quest line.
Yeah.
I don't know. I usually don't like fluff like that, but that was really good.
Yeah, there was a fluff side quest in Dragonflight where there's a little baby while-playing dragon with a duck on his head.
We should really just save it for the Warcraft episode. This is already going to be long enough as it is.
All right, yeah.
Sorry, Bantam. No sidetracking.
Okay. That's by the way, that's my hoard, is sidetrack topics.
Yep. Any other sad dragon news to attend?
That was the only one. I've been playing another game that has a dragon in the background that makes whatever the fuck that whale anime put to shame.
Oh, like the dragons are like just not dragons?
Yeah, they were not dragons, but it's called Grow Song of the Evertree. It's a very nice farming game where you grow worlds instead of like tending to a farm. And in the background, there's this massive fucking whale dragon thing that makes the most terrifying sound ever and really breaks the peace. But yeah, it's just a small little tidbit there. But that's the last bit of news.
I like farming games. I'll look into it.
It's very charming.
By the way, Bantam, since I edited the last episode, you're right. I said 2.5 people.
Yeah, you did. Oh my god, thank you. It's one of those things where like you know you're right, and everybody's like no, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be fair to just give you that little validation. So there we go. I said the wrong thing, but I fixed it in editing. But now people know.
Yep. Okay. Very happy.
All right, are you ready to try this debate with no structure?
Hell yes.
All right, people. So we are debating about hordes, mostly just an excuse to just talk about them, to share our expansive knowledge and our personal opinions. We didn't really pick sides. We're kind of just going to go with whatever side. If, for the sake of content, if we need to, I'll switch my stance just to go against these two if we accidentally all agree, but we'll kind of just see what happens, all right?
Mm-hmm.
We currently have 2 people in the audience stand, and so if we want to award points, those 2 can award points in the audience stand if they want to. But
there
whatever.
You go.
This is mostly for fun.
All right.
Dragon hordes. Dun dun dun. I need super suspenseful music. Dun dun dun. I've never seen a presidential debate. I don't know if they have music for the start of it or whatever. But yeah. So the first point is, I believe I wrote these down.
Yeah, you did.
Should dragons even have hordes to begin with? It's a trope that most stories have, that dragons will be hoarding. They usually be super greedy and they can't control it, or sometimes it's just a hobby. But should dragons even have hordes?
So, my opinion on that is that they should not. So I'm going to come right out the gate and just be like, no, I think the entire concept of hordes is stupid. And the reason why is because, at least in most of the media I've ever, been forced to read or whatever, dragons are always seen as like the end goal for a character to kill or defeat or whatever. And the thing is that, if you're trying to hunt a dragon, but you find his hoard, he's going to come back for it. So you can set traps and ambushes. And I really don't like the concept of, oh shit, I found a dragon hoard. I'm just going to sit here and wait until it comes back so I can kill it. A hoard to me seems like a weakness, because at that point there's something you could, Ray knows that I don't like, I don't like tropes, and I don't like the trope of, haha, you can't stop me. I'm the bad guy because I have something you care about, whether they kidnap a loved one or stole something and the good guy has to get it back to force a confrontation. And to me, a hoard is that. It's a forced confrontation.
All right, Dilettante, you want to go next?
I am 100% for hordes, even though I don't, as my character
For the
use it.
horde?
I am for the horde. And the reason why is, from a biological standpoint, the end goal of a creature is to fuck and have kids, right? And I feel like the bigger a horde a dragon has...
on World of Dragons After Dark.
I always look at a horde as like a mating tool to help attract female dragons. And just like the peacock, it's going to be a danger, because it doesn't, like, a peacock's feathers, they're fucking giant, and it's going to get itself eaten because of it. A dragon's going to probably get himself killed because he's got a massive horde, but he's probably going to have like 4 or 5 pregnant females that flew over and like, hey, yeah, it's got pretty good. And,
I got to bang. It's okay to be on someone's mantle now.
There you go. I mean, he started his legacy, so he accomplished what he needed to in life. As far as I think Darwinism goes, that's
it's a very animalistic approach, but yeah.
Dilettante, I want you to imagine that you have a horde. You're looking to attract a mate. Let's say it's me. You're trying to attract me, right? But then a rival dragon steals your whole horde, and I go after it.
Or just shows it with a bigger one.
And just imagine how sad you'll be. That's why hordes are stupid. Because if you take away the horde, then it becomes a normal mating ritual where it's like, you know what, I like you better because of your personality. But you add the horde into it, and it's like, what if your personality was amazing and this other dragon's was shitty, but I had to take into account their horde? And now you have a smaller horde, so you're no longer viable.
That's nature.
It's awful.
That is nature.
All right, my turn. Hordes are good. I like hordes. Most of the Bantam's problems with hordes, it's like, it's no different than people. Like, Bantam's like, what if you're a good person, but this other dragon's horde's bigger? It's like, oh yeah, what if you're a good person, but this other guy's got more money? Like, he was just born rich. It's like, it happens to people anyway, so there's no real point to hold that against dragons. Humans also kind of hoard stuff, not as like overtly as dragons do. It's like, oh, I'm gonna sit on this gold. But like, first off, there are just flat out human hoarders. Like, it's a mental condition that needs to be like addressed. But even just like me, like, I'm not a hoarder in that sense, but I just pulled out all my magic cards because I'm going to go through them later today, and my god. People collect things either purposefully or accidentally. They'll just take things and hold on to it, and that becomes their hoard.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got like 3 shelves full of small little dragon figurines.
If we were taking it now if we're going to take into account real life, Ray's real life hoard is board games, magic card or trading card games.
Mm-hmm.
And
dude, okay, so like I'm sorry, keep listening, then I'll veer off.
So board games, trading card games, and I think just like like dragon t-shirts.
Not quite yet, but I will soon. Well, because I was looking at Amazon, I was like, I need more t-shirts because like a lot of mine are getting like slightly too small.
They're becoming house shirts.
it's like it's either A, I'm just growing forever because dragons never stop growing, or B, they're shrinking like by 2% every time you watch it, and eventually that all adds up, and now they're just too small. They don't feel comfortable anymore. And I'm like, I'm gonna get a bunch of dragon shirts. Heck yeah! But as far as the trading cards goes, when I was digging through my cards to pull out all my Magic cards, I have Yu-Gi-Oh, I have Pokemon, I had the old Lord of the Rings cartoons, I had the short-lived EVE Online trading card game, I had Future Card Buddy Fight, I had Duel Master, I had some of that Harry Potter card game from way back then, and a few others that I can't remember. And I just started buying Digimon cards, and heck, I got a booster box coming in the mail in like 3 days.
Yeah, so last night Ray was pulling out all of his Magic cards because we're going to go through them because he wants to start building some Commander decks. And I had, the last time I went to go visit family back in Massachusetts, my little brother was throwing out all of his Magic cards. And he's like, do you want any of these? And it was like an entire crate of Magic cards. And some of them are really, really good. So that's probably several thousand cards.
But yeah, so most of the things that you could say Hoards are bad because X is like, well, a lot of sentient species do that. They just like to collect things. Heck, even in real life, birds will collect shiny things. They'll collect pieces of string. They'll collect whatever. It's
and how the half crow person forgot that? Beyond
know, right?
me.
Well, see, the thing is that crows don't hoard shiny things. They give them as gifts. Like, anytime somebody befriends a crow in real life, like, the crow will start bringing them shinies. Like,
yeah, the point is they don't necessarily hoard, but the point is they still collect things. It may not get to the point of what we consider, like, a dragon hoard, but the point is all sentient species will start to collect things at one point or another. And if dragons just go a little overboard because they live thousands of years anyway, so be it. It just kind of happens. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with having a hoard. There can be something wrong with how the author or creator handles it. You could always like do something poorly, that's true, but just the basis level, there is nothing wrong with having a dragon have a hoard, even if it's kind of tropey. Because I think, to an extent, people and a lot of other things do it too.
well, so what I hoard in real life is digital media. I have a 6 terabyte external hard drive, and it is just full of old TV shows that you can't find anymore. Old movies, basically my favorites, and just any important documents that I just like holding on to, like D&D modules that I paid for or something like that. And the way I always think about it is like, if your hoard can be lost, that's bad. And it's like, I have it backed up on another hard drive, but like imagine your house goes up in flames. And it's like everything that you've ever collected or had is a tangible object and you lose it because of the fire. Whereas me, I can just unplug the external hard drive and run. So I have my hoard.
All right, does anybody have any final thoughts to add on the topic of should a dragon have a hoard at all?
Nope.
Or do we get everything out?
I mean, again, I just, it's a weakness.
Yeah.
It is a strength, I argue, to continue the species.
Also, Venter in our audience chat mentioned that Dilatan's, not real life hoard would be kobolds and pillows. If another dragon showed up and his hoard was just a pile of riches, like gold and jewels and stuff, and that dragon and Dilatan were both trying to court me, I would definitely go for Dilatan, because pillows and kobolds are way better than money.
What if another dragon shows up saying like, I hoard snakes?
Anyway, what's the next topic?
Goodbye, Dilatan. I hoard video games. I own every video game from the NES era all the way to modern day.
I will be 100% truthful. If it were between video games and kobolds, I would pick kobolds. Kobolds,
yes.
Well, because at least the way I picture kobolds, they're cute as fuck, and I would want to be around all of them.
Phantom surrounded by like 50 kobolds all going, yep, 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 yep.
I love it. They're my babies now.
All right. So I guess we can ask Venter and Trisnix, like, hey, who wins? But we kind of all just talk out. Winning, who cares?
I care. I'm going to kick all y'all's asses. Fucking bring it.
All right. Yeah, Venter, Trisnix, just give points to whoever had the best arguments, regardless of whose side they were on, and we'll start on the next topic. which I have written down as if a dragon would hoard, should it be only gold because that's traditional, or what else could be considered a viable hoard?
So remember that book I could not find for the life of me that I've been trying to look for? Like, okay, then.
You're going to have to give me more information because I can't remember. You having a book you can't remember?
Listen, this is the first book I actually read out of my own free will because I went to North Carolina for school for a while and they didn't have the accelerated reader program. So I was like free from the shackles. I can read whatever I want. And I found this book called The Truth About Dragons. And it's this like really comedic relationship between a dragon and a woman in modern times. And the way they handled hoards was this dragon would get like an OCD tick. His whole back would start shivering, and in his mind, he gets an image of the thing he needs to grab to add to his hoard. And he would not stop until he acquired this item. And it could be anything from like a pen or like an old TV or whatever. So
nature just decides, hey, you need to go get an apple pie right now.
Yeah, it's the love interest was like, you sound like you have OCD, and he's like, huh. But I'm for the fact that a hoard can be anything so long as it's hoarded. It does not have to be gold or gems.
Bantam, your thoughts? You're muted in Discord or something?
Shit, sorry. I don't want... first of all, my fan had been on, so I turned it off. So, sorry. But that's mostly your fault. But also, I was interacting with chat. I'm sorry.
How dare you? Ignore the kobolds in the chat.
I can't. They're kobolds. I love kobolds. So what happened?
Your thoughts on the next question, or did you not even hear that?
I didn't even hear that.
If a dragon would have a hoard, if we assume they have one, should it just be only gold because that's traditional, or what else would count as a viable hoard?
There was a webcomic, and I don't remember what webcomic it was, but like where a knight gets into the dragon's cave and he's like, wait, it's all blah blah. I don't remember what it was, and the dragon's like,
Coxgun always has been.
No, it was. I think it was. It was that that dragon comic where it's always 4 panels. And I don't know.
Oh, the one where he's always in a not a business suit, but like the white button shirt.
Like After Dark. Okay. I forget what the web's comic's called, but
Dragons at Work, I think.
Dragons at Work or something. Yeah. And there's a comic where someone busts in and he's like, "Oh my god, it's all blah blah blah," and he's like, "It's treasure to me." And it's like I think that if a dragon's going to have a hoard, it doesn't necessarily need to be gold. It can be whatever is precious to them.
I'm gonna hoard Bantam.
He's already part of my hoard. Get the fuck out of there.
We'll cut him in half. We can both have him.
Oh god,
no. You Bantam, you shall remain whole.
I also believe that a hoard can be anything. It doesn't have to be traditional riches, gold, gems, silver, all that. That fits into the whole cliche of like dragons must hoard gold, and I think that's just because at some point in history, dragons just became a symbol for greed. But there was a book I read, which I'll talk more about next episode when we just do Ray's like rapid fire reviews. But it was a shifting book, but it was dragon shifter romance, and every book was Dragon A gets to partner with Mage B, and they just instantly fall in love, cliche, whatever. It's a romance book. They're not going to have a lot of stakes in them. But the thing is, at one point, the dragon would always show their hoard to their prospective mate. And it was always really random stuff. The very first dragon, his hoard was books. So he had like a Beauty and the Beast style library. And actually the mage in question references like, "Oh wow, am I your Belle?" when he gets showed it. Somebody else, their hoard was games. It was a whole bunch of like literally every board game and every video game ever made. Another dragon hoarded musical instruments. So on and so forth. And I feel like a dragon can hoard whatever they want, but I do like it if it follows a theme rather than like in Dilettante's case, where it's just like, "Hey, go get this." Okay. Like a random non-coherent hoard, I don't like that. That feels like it's getting closer to the mental sickness. But if it's a themed hoard, if it's like all fits within one sphere of a category or whatever, then yeah, it can just be whatever.
I will defend to the death the OCD hoarding because it is such a unique way to handle it. I have not seen yet in the almost over a year since we started this podcast.
So just a fun little aside, and the only reason I'm gonna say it is because Ray already knows what it is. But we were driving to go get food the other day, and we passed by this one corner where people like to set up little yard sales, because it's basically an abandoned lot. And this guy was selling these really big, intricate printed blankets, like those really thick blankets that you kind of just use as like a bed cover. And there was a red dragon one, and Ray was like, "Oh!" So we went to go pick up our food, and we stopped by the place on the way there, and yeah, there was this
Dragon
isn't
blanket.
This isn't the exact image, but it's pretty close. But it was a red dragon guarding his hoard from a knight, and it was pretty cool. But yeah, it was so funny because he just we're in traffic and he looks over and he's like, "Oh, dragon."
Do you remember how much it was?
$70. I think I found another blanket that I need to get for Ray.
Just a little pile of blankets to stay warm in the winter. All right, I guess as a closing thought to this topic, Dilettante, what would be your ideal hoard item?
Personally, I would actually, I know it's kind of contradictory to my whole argument, but I would do Spyro style gems. Just the gems, no gold.
Do they have to be big and cartoony like in Spyro?
They have to spin constantly. I gotta be surrounded by spinning gems at all times. It's the only way.
That's what you would hoard?
Yes, spinning gems.
Since in the first part you said that it should be used, the hoard should be used as a tool to find a mate. What would the dragon that would win your heart? What would he be hoarding?
More gems.
We
can combine our hoards to have twice as many gems.
Okay. Dilettante just likes the shinies.
If you get the gems too close to each other, they're gonna combine into a bigger gem.
That's amazing.
Like Bejeweled?
Yeah.
No, Bejeweled breaks.
Magical gems that when they get close enough to each other, they just go whooshing. So you just get enough gems, and then you're gonna have one gigantic fucking diamond that no one can steal because it's too big.
No, you don't understand. If it follows the rule of Bejeweled, I gotta keep everything 2 and nothing more. Otherwise,
you can make sure that you don't put any colors by each other.
They'll explode. Bejeweled is the worst thing for a dragon. He's gonna watch all those gems get destroyed and have a fucking anxiety attack.
Bantam, what would be your ideal hoard?
My ideal hoard I already have. It's like I said, it's digital media. I'm not gonna go too deep into the.
Yeah, but we're talking in a fantasy world, not in real life.
Oh, in a fantasy world, probably magic weapons, especially weapons that may be sentient, or that trope where someone who isn't worthy or steals a weapon and the weapon refuses to work for them because that doesn't belong to you. So I would hoard magic weapons. Like I said, bonus points if they're sentient.
OMG, is that a Bardiche? There was a comic I read at one point. I'll have to see if I can find it because it died. So I deleted the bookmark because there were no more updates. But there was a comic where there was a dragon that hoarded weapons. And so there's the comic starts with a knight coming up on the snarling shape of a dragon. And then all of a sudden the dragon's suddenly cute. It's like, oh my god, is that a Bardiche? And then she goes full on weapon nerd. Also, note to self, find a Spyro gem pillow or plush for Dilettante.
Ah, yes. With a gem and a pillow, it's perfect.
Anyway, since I asked you guys my ideal hoard in a fantasy world, I guess it would be books, but less of a library of knowledge and more like magical tomes, like scrolls that could be used to cast spells or old wizard spell books or whatever. Because I always imagined Ray, the character Abyss, would have 2 hoards, one underwater and one on land, because some things can't really be in water, but he's a sea dragon, so you gotta hoard stuff in the shipwreck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's underwater it'd be all the gold, all the gems or whatever, but then he'd have a dry hoard, which would just be a bunch of scrolls and books and whatnot.
I mean, you could just get like a double level cave where part of it goes underwater and the other part of it has like a stone shelf.
All right. The next question. If dragons hoard, should it accomplish anything other than just sitting there and being pretty or monetarily valuable? Dilettante kind of went on this a little bit already with his they used to attract a mate.
That's really the only thing I can think of for them to be used for. There's mating, there's status symbol for other dragons. There's like a big fuck you to the lower class that have like only one hallway full of gold, while the other ones have like 5 cave hallways full of gold.
Yeah, remember in Tooth and Claw?
Yeah.
All the aristocratic dragons had hoards and all the poor little dragons didn't. And it was just riches, it was just money. And it's like, but it was kind of both just like a status symbol and just a, I don't know. That's kind of all it really was, but kind of just, it fit the Victorian theme, I guess.
Well, yeah, because Victorian rulers are assholes who hoarded wealth, so of course there were going to be dragons, and of course it fit.
Just Victorian rulers?
Almost all rulers in that time.
Bantam, your thoughts? Pay attention, your thoughts?
I mean, I was paying attention, but I don't really have any thoughts on that.
On what? Tell me what the question is to prove you're paying attention.
Fuck, my brain always fucking empties when you ask me that. I mean, like I was talking about the last time my brain registered what you were talking about. Yeah, I'm gonna close Discord, and
But the audience,
I will handle the audience, but Bantam cannot multitask typing and talking.
I can't.
Whenever I'm in the car talking with him on the way home from work, I have to just stop talking anytime the phone comes out.
Yeah. All right. Full attention.
Right. So the question was, Bantam, that if a dragon would hoard, should it accomplish anything other than just sitting there being pretty or monetarily valuable?
I believe it should. I don't. I mean, in real life, my hoard doesn't accomplish anything except make me feel good. The thought of losing some of these TV shows fills me with dread. But I don't know. I guess it depends on the setting. I mean, yeah, if dragons are supposed to be sentient, then yeah, they probably would hoard things that are sentimental to them. Whereas in real life, like, why would you keep something around that's worthless? You know, but or I mean, golden jewels, yeah, they're worth something, but you know, let's just say in general, if it's worthless, why would you hoard it? But you know, if it makes you feel good, then you know, good on you, I guess. But I believe that if you're going to, in a fantasy setting, as in something that is constantly having to fight to survive, even defend yourself against human invaders, or you know, go hunt for food or whatever, your hoard would. If your hoard is not useful, then it's taking away valuable time that you could be surviving. You know, like I could go out. Actually, that golden treasure game is kind of the same thing. It's like, do I go out and get more money, more shinies, or do I eat today? And it's like, at that point, a hoard is detrimental to your health. So, I think the hoard should be something useful. You know, like, I know food goes bad, but like, you could hoard food if food didn't go bad.
A dragon whose hoard is just like a bunch of canned and dried food, like a doomsday prepper.
There was what was it that there was some story where a dragon hoarded. It was, I don't remember if it was a game or a movie or a TV show. I don't remember. All I remember was there was a dragon that was hoarding seeds, and then
oh shit! I know what you're talking about.
Shit! What was that from?
Shit, I don't know.
Dilettante, what was it? Come on.
I don't know.
It was a dragon was hoarding seeds and food.
It was the female dragon from Dragonheart 5.
Right, yes. So yeah, in Dragonheart 5, she would do favors for people, but you paid her in seeds.
Seeds.
And people were like, that's fucking weird, but okay. And then when there was a famine and people were worried that they were all going to die, she's like, nope, here, I have all these seeds. And they were able to plant crops, and they were able to survive the winter. And it was like she hoarded for the sole purpose of helping people later. And I was like, that's nice. That's nice.
That's nice.
But that's an example of a useful hoard. It's not something that's just gonna sit there and look pretty, because like now imagine a hoard of coins and swords and jewels and whatever. It's like, if it's just gonna sit there in a pile, it's eventually gonna get dusty or rusted, so now you gotta take care of it and polish it. And that's going to take effort and time away from things that you could be...
Well, when you live 1,000 years, you need a hobby. Polish all the weapons.
Yeah.
Or you just... That's why dragons have
minions.
Servants.
Yeah. Polish my sword, and when you're done with that sword, you can polish this other sword.
Oh my god, shut up.
No, it's 2 swords. But when you're done with those 2 swords...
Slap. Personally, I do like when hoards serve another purpose. Again, I enjoy the trope of just greedy dragon sits on mountain of gold, adventurers come to kill the dragon. Granted, I don't like the adventurers killing the dragon, but I can appreciate that trope because that's where it all started. Sometimes it's nice to pay homage to it in certain stories and settings and whatnot. But I've read a lot of things where the horde serves different purposes. A good example is Tooth and Claw, like I said, it's money, but at least they spend the money rather than just hoard it, right? It's kind of like their hoards became their bank accounts, I guess. It was kind of weird. But then I've read a couple other stories. There's this one, I can't remember what the series is called, but the first book in it is called Master of the Hoard. It's an isekai where a guy gets reborn as a dragon and he starts building a hoard, but the reason he does is because in this video game rule world kind of thing, his hoard dictates how strong his minions can get and how big his colony can get. So it's like a city builder, but he needs a bigger hoard to be able to build more buildings and upgrade more minions.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. I'm gonna make you read it at some point, Dilettante, because you'll probably love it.
There's a number at the top right of his vision that says, in order to unlock the next upgrade for your keep or your cave, you need X amount of gold coins.
That's exactly what it is. Like, your hoard is tier 2, very small. To upgrade to next tier, get 8 mana gems and items of superior quality and whatever.
That sucks.
And then like, congratulations, your hoard has reached tier 3. You can now upgrade 2 more minions, and you're unlocked these special buildings. You can build a shadow tower, which will help defend your keep from enemies. And it's like, oh my god.
So imagine a dragon horde where it's a long, winding cave full of traps and minions and stuff, and by the time the adventurer gets to the bottom, he's so tired and done with it that the dragon's like, all right, strip off all your armor and throw all your weapons. So
there aren't adventurers. The book is him fighting against other dragons because only one dragon can be master of the mountain kind of deal. And he's a shadow dragon, so that is exactly what he does. He builds traps and long winding pathways because he's at a disadvantage compared to the raw brute strength that the other, like the red dragons would have, or the aerial superiority the blue dragons would have, or whatever. That's exactly the storyline. But yeah, there have been other things like in Age of Fire, the Horde serves as a source of, I don't want to say nutrients, but it's how the dragons get their scales is by eating metal, and so they hoard wealth like that because they need to have it on hand for when they need to eat it, because if they don't, they start to get a gold hungry or whatever they called it. But yeah, I like when hordes kind of serve a purpose. I like when the purpose kind of ties into the original concept of just hoarding money. Such as those 2 examples I gave, either eating it or video game logic.
Eating gold would have the worst effect for your scales, though, because that metal is so literally soft.
No, but that makes it digestible, and also gold is unique in real life in its property that gold is one of the only metal, or one of the I think platinum and titanium are the others, where the human body will not reject it. Theoretically, any biological thing would not reject gold. It's a inert metal that you can use as things like tooth caps or implants. And so the fact that gold is a very soft, malleable metal that can technically be digested, not completely, I mean, it comes right back out, but that it doesn't cause any adverse health effects. I would imagine dragon stomachs are probably a lot more powerful and therefore could digest gold. But because it's a very soft liquid metal and it can merge literally with organic tissue, you would get... I would imagine that gold would be mostly a aesthetic thing. Because I would imagine that, like, I think I mentioned it before in the Hobbit movie where Smaug got molten gold poured on him, and then when he rose up and he was all sparkly and glittery, I imagine that if a dragon ate a lot of gold, it wouldn't...
They become fabulous.
It wouldn't do much for the hardness of their scales, but it would definitely add to a luster or a sheen on their scales. Maybe like little speckle, like those nut jobs with their cars. The candy paint where it's got sparkles in it, it would look like that.
Also, in Age of Fire, they ate ferrous metals, which was stuff like iron. Gold happens to be a ferrous metal, so I guess my assumption, I don't remember if this was ever explained in the book, my assumption is that gold gets the job done, but it's not the most ideal because there's not enough iron in gold or whatever.
Yeah, you'd want something like titanium or platinum, something a very, very dense, tough metal.
I seem to recall in most stories where dragons hoard gold for whatever reason, they also tend to prefer platinum just because platinum is more pure than gold in almost every sense. I mean, like, as far as D&D goes, it's more valuable. It's worth 10 to 1 what gold is, but, like, also in a setting like Age of Fire where they utilize it in some way, it tends to be more pure. I think she's gonna have to correct me, but in Rowan's book that we read recently, not Cities and Skylines, that's a video game. Was it Dragons and Skylines? But still, they used gold as a way to replenish their magic. They called it Shimmer. Again, another useful hoard that ties into the old trope of gathering gold and stuff. But platinum, I think, was one of the purer substances that gave you more shimmer if you had it. Gold was like kind of just middle of the pack as far as effectiveness.
Yeah, gold is also something that, like, I mean, we still find new gold veins all across the planet during mining. And so it's like gold is a lot more prevalent than we give it credit for, but I think platinum, the conditions for platinum to form are ridiculous, and I believe platinum is deeper than gold.
I don't know enough about metallurgy or chemistry to know
Geology,
that.
Yeah. I miss the fantasy days where it's like, you know, like imagining back in medieval times where if you found a gold mine, you know, then you were rich. Whereas nowadays, if you found a gold mine, some fucking country would step in and be like, nope, this is ours now. You get nothing.
I hate that. If you find something, the government's like, no, that's technically on our land, so we own it now. It's like, fuck that.
It's like, you don't own shit. You can own the building, but you don't get to own the land. I don't agree with that. Because there was the story a couple months ago where someone found gold at a shipwreck, but the shipwreck was technically X amount of miles offshore of this country, so the country laid claim to it and was like, "This is ours."
Yeah,
now.
I think it's like a
and here's a $5,000 finder's fee, but fuck off. And then they turned around and sold it for millions, and it's like, fuck you. Well, I mean, international waters is one thing, but yeah, it's like, yeah, if you theoretically went out and found a little cave and there was gold in it, then your best bet is to mine it and take as much of it as you can and tell no one.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment you say, "Oh my God, I found a gold mine," sure enough.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be a mine. Like, let's just say, let's pretend that dragons lived in this world too, and you went out into the mountains and you found an abandoned dragon cave, like the dragon died, or it just left, or whatever, and it left some of its hoard behind. Technically, if you found that, it still belongs to the state or the country, even though it's like just actual gold coins sitting there. Because it wasn't on, it's on government land or something. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's totally bullshit.
There was another book I finished just recently where there was a mine of, I can't remember, Dragonstone, Dragonfire, I can't remember what they called it, but it was supposed to be like a gemstone that like only mattered. I don't remember exactly the rules behind it. I've been reading a lot of bullshit lately. But the point is, this small-time noble, the equivalent of a governor, I guess, I can't remember the term they used, was like mining it and smuggling it out, because technically that belonged to the Tsar, because it was his land, and he's a lesser servant that basically just collects taxes on his behalf. I can't remember what the term is for it, but it's like that whole concept is dumb.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the uses of a hoard, Dillaman?
I can't think of anything on top of my head.
Yeah, because we got for self-benefit, eating it or using it to protect yourself, we've got mating, attracting a mate. I mean, I don't really see any other point to a hoard besides those two things. Okay, and the third one being is it makes you feel good.
Sentimental, replenishes magic because reasons.
Yeah. Like there's all right, so there's tiny tangent. There's some Saturday morning cartoons from like way back in the early 90s that I've actually looked. It's nearly impossible to find. You can't watch them anymore. They're like almost lost media. I have them. Biker Mice from Mars, Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys, Ronin Warriors. And it's like I have those in digital format that I got years and years ago. And I treasure them. I'd be really sad if I lost them.
Imagine a dragon who has a hoard of just like traditional gold, gems, magic weapons, just to lure adventurers. It's just he doesn't care about the treasure. It's all just bait.
Well, yeah, so we can get more magical weapons and gold.
Yeah, it's the yeah. That was where I was going with that other thing about like the having a cave with a long twisty hallway full of traps and minions and stuff, and by the time the adventurer reaches you, he's so tired and exhausted that you just stand up before him and you're just like, all right, strip off all your weapons and armor, put them in the pile, and then leave, or you'll die.
There are a couple of collections of short stories, anthologies, if you will, from Dragonlance that I used to read when I was a kid. One of the short stories was there was a dragon in a mountain, and he didn't really cause trouble. He was just there, but some people in the nearby town put a hit on the dragon. Like, we don't want dragons in our mountains. Get him out of here. So this adventurer shows up.
Not in my mountain.
And talks to this like kind of rich person who's basically like, I'm putting up a reward if you can get into this mountain and kill the dragon. You'll get this pretty hefty sum. But I'm going to come with you to so I can know for sure that you killed the dragon, that it's going to go there and claim it or whatever, right?
And he was working for the dragon?
He was the dragon.
Oh.
He was the dragon in human form, and he basically said, thank you for testing my security. Now I know what holes I got to patch up to keep adventurers from getting into my lair, but now you die.
I love it. That's great.
It was, I loved it.
He just imagine the brief moment of panic on the adventurer's face when they get to the dragon's hoard, and the person that the assessor is there standing next to you going, okay, so you didn't really have any issue or problems with blah blah blah, and and he's like, how would you rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how easy it was to get here? And he'd be like, really
survey.
And he's like, let's say, for example, what do you think would make it much harder for you to get here? And he's like, oh, well, because he's all happy. He made it. He's going to get the reward.
He thinks he's being interviewed for a book or something.
Yeah. And then he's like, all right, interesting. And then full dragon form is like, all right, well, thank you for your service. Oh,
jump. I guess on to the next topic, which is one that I came up after the fact. So I'm sorry if you didn't have any time to prepare for this mentally. Privacy and care. Is it better off if it's a big pile on the floor in the middle of a cave? Is it displayed for everyone to see? Does the dragon get angry if anybody sees or touches it? Like, is it like hyper personal?
So for me, so we actually kind of sort of mentioned this yesterday when we were playing cards.
Yes, but we weren't recording that at the time.
I know. Dragons being so big and their scales being so tough, sleeping, because I always said, well, sleeping on a pile of gold would be uncomfortable. And it's like, well, no, because for a dragon, it would be like sleeping on sand.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. I said, depends on the size of the dragon. If they get big enough, it would be like sleeping on sand. It kind of just depends. That's a really big dragon. I don't think I would like them that big, but like I would say Smaug was big enough for it to feel like sand.
I mean, he burrowed in it.
Yeah, that too.
But yeah, it's like I can see that as being viable, but I'd feel like you'd need to build like a little retaining wall to keep the coin, because otherwise you'd have to like shovel it all back into a pile every once in a while.
Really fast, I want to address this thing that got written in the audience tent because it's a really good point. Vent to ask, what if like Raid was a hoard of books and you just set it up like a public library, but people just aren't allowed to leave with the books? It's like, all right, as someone who loved libraries as a kid, knowing how those books are treated and seeing what happens to them, no way, no one's touching those books. Bantam has seen me come home with a new book, and I'm sitting there trying to peek into it like a V-shaped book, like I can't open it wide enough to bend the spine. It's like, nope, I am not letting anybody touch my
One
books.
person folds a page and it's just an immediate death sentence.
Dude, people who donkey ear the page, death, kill them. Nope,
Straight up
eaten.
death. Yeah, Ray and I go to Barnes and Noble quite often to see what, to scout for books or whatever, and you'll see people, in the aisles pulling books out and just yanking them open. And,
All right, the people who will bend the front cover back behind the back cover so they can hold it with one hand. Oh my
Calm
god.
down, Ray. Deep breaths.
But you'll have people taking piles of books over to the little tables to sit down and eat their snacks and drink their Starbucks while reading a book. And it's like, you technically haven't paid for that book yet, so it's not yours. And it's like, you could spill food or drink on it, and it's like, oh, whoops. And then you're just going to like stuff it under a shelf or something. But like, yeah, no, the way public library books are treated, it's fucking atrocious. And, yeah. And I don't think Ray would abide to someone putting stickers all over the spines of the book to categorize them.
Ugh. The stickers that come off in one nice easy pull, fine, because I know you need to put barcodes on these things. But like the ones that like you try to pull the sticker off and then like they leave the white gunk behind, or like the face of the sticker comes off but the sticky part stays behind, so it's like fuzzy now, because I don't know how best to describe that. But,
yeah, it leaves a tacky texture. Point being is like, no, if Ray were gonna do that and he were gonna open his book hoard to the public, then it would have to be a magically enchanted library where the moment you walk in, your hands are just like stuck to your sides. You cannot lift your arms, and the books just float in front of you and turn their own pages.
In no-touch library.
That's a no-touch library. The whole thing is magically enchanted.
No, it would be like the library beneath the Vatican. Behind glass, no one can see. But I have kobolds that I trust that can scan the books and digitally store them, and then you can read them on iPads.
Yeah. So to my hoard, my hoard, I love sharing it. I just recently had a friend who lost their job, and they were very upset, and they were looking for distractions, and they were like, I really wish I could rewatch Malcolm in the Middle. I have the entirety of Malcolm in the Middle, so I saved all of it and sent them a copy, and it's like, there, you can now watch all of Malcolm in the Middle, all 7 seasons.
I don't condone pirating, but when it's literally impossible to get because people are fighting over the license, or it's just not online at the time, like people are like, if I pull it off my service now, then I'll get people to come back for it in a year because, limited window or whatever. Stuff like that, fuck them. Like one of my favorite animes was The Ancient Magus Bride, and at one point it disappeared from online because Crunchyroll and Funimation were fighting over the license to it, and so you couldn't watch it anymore. And so that's bullshit. If you can't get it, then yes, downloading it is the only option at that point, and go for it. But yeah.
Or you have things like The Office, where it's being fought over, and people are paying millions. I think Seinfeld was another one. Seinfeld got taken down from Netflix and moved over to another service, and then that service lost it because another service paid millions upon millions of dollars to get the rights to it. And so it's like you can't reliably go watch whatever you want anymore, because you'll find out that everything is now splintered and fractured into little itty-bitty micro streaming services where TV shows like Seinfeld or The Office are huge gets, and the moment they have them, they're like, haha. And yet it's so fucking stupid.
And another problem is when how to say this? Certain people will be ashamed of things they made before. Like Disney just released the Buzz Lightyear movie, which I did not like because I would have preferred something closer to the old animated series, Burst Lightyear Star Command.
That's a nostalgia.
But apparently, that was such a good cartoon. But apparently, Disney hates that and never wants it to see the light of day again. So you can't even watch it on the Disney Plus streaming service. So that's something that, yes, I'm going to have to find and download somewhere if I want to ever see it again, because you should not be allowed to say no. This doesn't exist anymore.
There's a website where you can watch cartoons online, wink, wink.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Those websites are typically full of malware. Absolutely flooded with malware. One of the websites I use quite often, because I have so many goddamn ad blockers, I can access the website fine, but someone asked about a movie or a TV show, and I linked them to this site, and they were like, nope, my browser went nuts. Nope, my computer started buzzing and huff. It's like, I'm sorry, so I just take care of it myself because I can protect myself. But, the thing is that for me, what brings me comfort is knowing that I have it at any time. I don't require internet even. If the internet goes down, but I still have power, I can watch all these things. I can also speed them up. I don't have to worry about buffering. I don't have to worry about hurting the internet performance for everyone else in the house. It's and the fact that I can just unplug a device and hand the device to someone and say, "Here, copy it." Yeah,
there are a couple other problems. I just want to finish my previous thought. Community has some episodes that have been pulled because they've been deemed inappropriate, and I think that's stupid. Like, you can apologize for making something if you realize after the fact you shouldn't have, but still, don't pull it.
Yeah, do what Warner Brothers did. Just put a disclaimer. It was a product of its time. We do not support these views, but for posterity's sake, here you go.
Yeah, like, you can't watch the first Dungeons & Dragons episode on Community anymore.
Yeah.
And then the other problem is, I don't really know why this happened, but like Friends, the sitcom Friends, I love it. I tried to watch it on, I think it was Netflix at one point, but it was like a different format. Like the format that you got when you bought the DVD box and the format that I owned digitally was like the full uncut, like 30-minute episode or whatever. But then the version that you tried to watch on Netflix was the format for TV. We're cutting out chunks of the episode to make room for commercials. And so you're missing like 5 minutes of footage on every episode. So I've noticed a couple of times like a scene will be missing. I'm like, what the heck? They're supposed to, like, what happened to this joke? What happened to that scene or whatever? And I don't know why they didn't just upload the fully uncut. It had to have been a licensing thing. Like, they're not allowed to upload the uncut stuff because we want them to buy the DVD box set for that. So
yeah, another good example was when the Simpsons moved over to Disney Plus. And apparently,
the ratios cut out a lot of the background jokes.
They widescreened the thing, and so what that did was it sliced off the top and bottom of every of the entire show, and so a lot of visual gags were lost, and Disney just didn't see it, didn't give a shit, because they bought Fox, and they're like, "Yep, here's all the Simpsons. Shut the hell up," and it's like, come on, But
I just realized there was like a 20-minute tangent of pirating is bad, but sometimes you own the option.
Yeah. Well, because it goes to my hoard. Like my hoard is I don't want to lose this stuff. Like I have it. I feel confident in, because I have two backups, one of which is always plugged into my PC and the other one that is not. And it's like, this is my hoard. I treasure it. I'd be really devastated if I lost it.
For the record, World of Dragons podcast does not condone piracy.
I don't pirate.
Yeah,
I don't pirate
exactly.
any of this. I bought all the DVDs and then ripped them into my hard drive.
There have been a couple of times where like I own like a really old game, like a computer game from '95 or whatever. Oh no, I'm aging myself. But like again, you can't get it anymore. It doesn't work on most modern systems. But like if you download the quote pirated version, it's like already been altered or formatted whatever to work on modern systems. So there are a couple of old games that I've downloaded, but I've already owned them. Particularly, especially with emulators. Like I have an emulator to play the old Mario 64 game, but I own the cartridge. I have it. It's just I don't want to pay $60 for the remastered Switch version.
Yeah. And because I'm gonna try to keep this in topic of hoards, video games. Like, imagine you hoard video games. There was a game called Too Human where the creators of the game got into a slap fight with Epic, who provided the engine for their game, and they got sued, or they sued Epic and lost, and then Epic countersued and won. And I actually was a manager for a GameStop at the time. We were instructed to destroy all physical copies of the game, and we were never allowed to take it in for trade. We were never allowed to resell it. And it's like anyone who owned a copy of Too Human, it suddenly jumped up in value because now every store across the nation was destroying these games. And it's like, that's not fair to the consumer. It's like but the thing is that if you bought it digitally on a video game console like Xbox, it actually removed the game from your library. Even though you owned it, they took it away from you. And so that's why I like having physical copies of everything. And, you know, even with the digital copies, something that it doesn't require a launcher or signing in. It's like, this cannot be taken away from me.
Mm-hmm. Digitally owning things is valuable to prevent it from being changed in the future. A recent example, Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast, have scrubbed a lot of the lore for their monsters because it's been deemed culturally insensitive, I guess. For example, if I own one of the original printings of Volo's Guide to Monsters, which talks about the Yuan-Ti and how they kept slaves and they would sacrifice them and they would eat them and just all this terrible stuff, right? Then they recently released a book called, I think, Monsters of the Multiverse, where they touched on the Yuan-Ti again, but they completely stripped out all of that lore. I don't know if it's because they thought it was inappropriate or because they want to make this stuff all system neutral, system agnostic, so that you can have whatever lore you want attached to them that you want, right? You don't have to make your Yuan-Ti evil and irredeemable, and they are unable to feel emotion and any of that. But the point is, it's no longer in the new book. And the problem is, I've only heard this. I don't own anything on D&D Beyond, so I can't say for sure, but I have heard that if you owned the books digitally on their website, D&D Beyond, they changed the old books to where the lore was pulled out of the old book.
So I would think that was a little bit of both. Because on the one hand, yes, a lot of people could cry like, oh, you're censoring stuff and the product of its time. But on the other hand, there are a lot of people like me who would want to play as a particular race, but the lore says they're so irredeemably evil that you're not allowed. Like,
no, and I get that, but I still think the fact that this is stuff that they wrote, like this was a setting, this was a story that they wrote, and now they have pulled it and deleted it and it is gone. And they have gone and changed digital copies on their website that people have owned to no longer have this. I don't think you should go back and change that.
That is true.
And that's why, lucky me, I have the physical thing that they can never change. But like somebody who's getting into they're going to come into my house and rip up the pages, right?
I think government agent's going to come kick in your door. Where's your Volo's Guide? And they grab it and tear the page out.
But like somebody who'd be getting into the hobby just now that wants to go back and buy all this stuff, they wouldn't be able to. I don't think so. Like, I think they're going to stop printing Volo's Guide and they're only going to sell Monsters of the Multiverse now. But like that's what digital copies that you can save on your hard drive are for.
Yep.
They can't take that from you.
Every like as far as because with things like swords and gold, you can't copy that. You know, whatever. But it is a physical thing. It can be taken from you unless you take steps to prevent it. But, you know, for me and my hoard being digital media, it can never really be taken from me.
Except through terrible, terrible accidents.
Well, that's why I have the backup.
Yep. Back up your backup.
Back up your backup, and if my external were to suddenly have a catastrophic failure or format itself or whatever, I've got the backup, and I wouldn't even plug it into my PC until I got another hard drive and was able to back up the backup. Clack, 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 clack.
Well, just again talking, somebody mentioned that like Ocarina of Time, the fire temple had some Islamic prayers in the background of its music. Like it was not open source, but like you can like you pay a couple $100 and you get like an entire like CD of samples you can use for stuff. It had some Islamic prayers in it, and so when they remastered the game for like the Wii U or the Switch or whatever, they changed the music. And it's just another example of like, yeah, that's why I play ROMs, because I like the style that I grew up with. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry if it's offensive, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to like upset people, but it's for the sake of nostalgia. I like the old music better.
Yeah, I'm the same way with music. There's a couple artists that I really like, musical artists that when I first heard them years and years ago, I used to listen to them obsessively, and then they remaster their own albums, take their old albums down off of iTunes, and then they put up the new ones, and the new ones don't sound right because they're not what I grew up with, and it drives me up a wall.
This was one heck of a tangent. Let's get back.
So what are we
onto the
talking about
discussion
today,
of hoards.
guys?
So I had asked the question, should a hoard be on display? Should it be protected, like no one's allowed to see to touch it? And then we kind of sidetracked into digital media. Bantam, should a hoard be on display, like in Vancouver with Dragon Day? You show off your hoard, or should it be like if anybody sees it, then how fucking dare they?
No, a hoard should not be on display, because the more visually open your hoard is, the more apt you are to have it taken from you. You should have a multi-network cave with dead ends and traps, and it should be hidden all the way in the back. And if anyone ever sees it, kill them immediately.
Yeah, that's definitely like how D&D dragons handle it. I would say like dragons like Vancouver, the kinds who would have it on display. Also in the Master of the Hoard book, some of these hoards that the dragons had were like on display in the middle of their town, because your kingdom, your domain, your territory emanated from the hoard, so you put it in the center, right? Most stories and settings that have hoards on display, it's usually because the dragon either is or at least thinks he is strong enough to defend it from anything. But unfortunately, in most fantasy settings like Dungeons & Dragons or Dragonlance, Forgotten Realms, sadly the dragons are not that strong, because these adventurers with fucking knives are stronger than a dragon.
Heresy!
Heresy indeed.
I am all for it being on display, because otherwise, what's the point of accumulating all that wealth if you can't show it off?
My ideal power gap difference between dragons and humans is like that comic where a bunch of adventurers with swords and armor come running in, and the dragon's like, "Oh dear, adventurers got in again," and they put them in a cup, and they're like, "I'll just let them out outside."
I love that.
Yeah, I've seen that comic. Yeah. My opinion's kind of mixed. If it's a traditional hoard of just gold for the sake of wealth, similar to so many book titles running in my head, similar to Tooth and Claw, where it's literally just gold, or it's like,
yeah, that's what happens when you read too
I lost my
much.
train of thought. No, I lost my train of thought.
Dilettante and I looking for every opportunity to pounce on Ray for reading too many books.
Oh, I'm going to take every opportunity.
If the point of the hoard is just monetary value, or it's a symbol of status, then it should be shown off. It should be displayed at some point. Maybe not in the middle of town square, because thieves and all that, but it should definitely be shown off, and it should not be a big deal if somebody sees it. If the hoard is personal or sentimental, similar to in the Scales and Spells series, which was the Dragon Shift Romance, where it's just this dragon likes musical instruments and so collects them, then no, it can be personal, and if you want to go the whole no one's allowed to see it ever, that's fine. If it serves a personal purpose, similar to not Tooth and Claw, the Age of Fire, they have to eat the coins for their metal coat, or Dragons and Skylines, where it replenishes your magic or your shimmer, then those are probably privately owned as well, because there's really no point to show them off. They have a different use entirely.
Yeah, I for mating rituals, the hoard could be shown off only then, but I'm too paranoid of a person, so I just feel like if you show off something that's that's very valuable to you, whether or not it has any real monetary value, it could invite theft.
I'm going to touch your hard drive, Bantam.
I will slap you to unconsciousness.
You bring it, bitch.
I think those are all the questions I had come up with for the sake of hoards. Are there any other topics you guys wanted to bring up and talk about?
I don't think we touched on whether or not. I don't think we touched on whether or not if a person were to see your hoard, like you said, like if someone were to see your hoard, would that be grounds for immediately killing them? Like, or you can look at it but don't touch. How would a dragon react around his friends? If let's say a dragon was sitting atop his pile of gold and his friends came over, and it's like, are you even allowed to look at it? Do you just have to stare at the floor? Does a dragon get super jealous if anyone gets near it? Or as long as you, or because I mentioned to Ray, I was like, well, what if let's say, Ray's sitting on top of his hoard. Let's just say for this purpose, it's swords and jewelry and whatever. And I come visit and I sit in the gold with him, and I'm like putting on necklaces and crowns and pulling out swords and swinging them around or whatever. And it's like, is that okay?
No.
As long as I don't leave with it.
Personally, I believe that is okay if you have achieved a certain tier of friendship, basically. Like random outside people. Like if I'm just inviting, I'm going to say Cybus because we keep talking about him in story senses. If I just invite Cybus over to play games and he's like, hey, what's your hoard like? And just goes into my room, nah, not okay. But like you've achieved a certain level of friendship that, yes, that'd be fine, again, as long as you don't leave with any of it. So I feel like if you have to become close friends with the dragon and then you can see his hoard. I like that kind of emotional aspect to it, which it was from the not the dating sim, the romance novel that I read, where once they became particularly close to their prospective mate, it was a big deal to show them the hoard. Like, I want to show you my hoard. That's how we know we've reached this step of our relationship.
A very clear signal too. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Because I always thought, like, if I had a hoard and it was physical things, would I let anyone look at it or play with it or whatever? Like if my hoard was Legos, which to a degree it is, like would obviously the sets that have already been built, like don't touch those. But if it's a big bucket full of just loose Lego parts and you wanted to put them all together and do stupid shit with them, fine. But you're not allowed to take them, but you can play with them.
One thing I regret from my childhood is I bought several Mega Block sets of dragons. Mega Block being a comparator to Lego. It's not nearly as fine. Like the pieces are really, really big. You don't get really small blocks. So like a set would be like 50 to 70 pieces rather than several hundred, just because they were big chunky pieces. But I bought, I think, 5 or 6 of them, and then I would put them together and would display them on a shelf, and they would kind of just sit there being decoration. And my little brothers wanted to play with them, and I'm like, no, they're not for playing, they're for looking. And it's one of my regrets nowadays. Like, I wish I should have just let them play with them, because we were all little kids. I was like, I think 14, and so the youngest of them would have been like 8 and 9. And it's like, just let them play with the fucking Legos. It's not that big.
Especially, I kind of sympathize with that. So I actually had the same sets. It was called Dragons Metal Ages by Mega Bloks, and I had a whole bunch of them. I actually liked them because a lot of the weapons that the knights came with were highly realistic or really cool looking. Whereas, Lego swords were just like a thin piece of plastic with a silver sheen, whereas these things were like, whoa, these look like, end game weapons in any RPG. But the dragons were really cool. And I didn't let my little brothers play with them. But then years later, I just kind of grew out of them. They started falling apart or breaking. And it's like, well, they could have gotten played with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, but they didn't.
Dilettante, what do you regret from your childhood?
Honestly, not a whole lot.
Dilettante, no.
Yeah, honestly, my parent, being the youngest sibling, my parents are very well off.
Oh,
yeah, they gave me PS1. I got all the Army Men games and a shit ton of Army Men. I had my own little horde of plastic soldiers, and I could recreate any battle I fucking wanted in my living room. It was fucking 10 out of 10. I regret nothing.
I got a topic we can talk about real fast.
What you got?
Dilatan, what are your thoughts on the concept of hoarding living creatures?
Appropriate, because then the dragon just turned into a farmer.
I still want to build my dragon farming sim just for that reason.
As soon as he gets enough animals, a straw hat just pops onto his head.
If any of you listeners know a good online course that's affordable and not like I'm going to pay thousands of dollars to this big name school to watch videos, let me know. I'd like to self-teach myself how to make video
I
games.
could put you in contact with my brother. He self-taught himself to do Unreal Engine.
Mayhaps.
He's always trying to get me into it. I'm like, I don't really have the patience or the time or the interest. He's like,
I don't know if it would be Unreal Engine for the thing I want to build. I'm imagining it kind of like a 2D game like Stardew Valley. I don't know if you need Unreal Engine for that.
oh, that probably Unity.
Yeah, probably Unity, probably a bit better. But yeah, hoarding of living creatures. Dilettant's like, go for it. Bantam?
Hell fucking yes. First of all,
Of course he'd be for it.
all right, listen. I would
Do
trade.
you not think it's unethical?
No. All right. If they're there against their will, then yes. But like if you show up, if you come back from a day of flying around or whatever, and like all your, I'm just going to use kobolds, and all your kobolds are shuddering in fear and piled into a corner and trying to avoid you, like that gives me bad feels. But if if you come home and your kobolds are like, the master's back, yay, because their life was, kicking at rocks and trying to survive from people killing them for no reason,
Eating moss.
Eating moss. It's like, if you ended up taking in animals or sentient, minions that kind of just didn't really have much going for them in the first place, and you gave them, a place to stay and safety and comfort and affection, and they liked it, then yeah, definitely.
Bantam's the kind of person who would rescue too many cats from the shelter.
Absolutely.
I would have a hard cap of 5, but maybe 3.
Bantam rescues 5 kobolds.
But yeah, well, kobolds, because they're sentient and you can talk to them and they can understand you, because you can't reason with a cat.
No, you cannot.
You can't reason with a cat.
That's exactly why I do not like cats. Breaking news, Ray doesn't like cats.
But you can reason with a kobold, I would imagine. And it's like, so with something that you could reason with, I would say 20 kobolds. I would get 20 kobolds. And we're not going to discuss the stuff I'd get up to with them. But
oh my god.
Because of the implications.
No, it's not even that. It's just like I would love to just come home and just flop on my bed or whatever and just, have them just pamper me.
I mean, but who wouldn't want to be pampered the second they get home?
You just spread your wings, splay out, and just let them just give you a bath and fucking polish your scales and just love on you. And then when you go to sleep, you're just sleeping under a pile of kobolds that love you. It's like, oh.
But so how about the concept of hoarding a creature against its will? For example, when a dragon goes and captures a princess or whatever. And there have also been a couple of, I'll admit, I've tried listening to a couple ASMR videos, especially a couple ASMR roleplay videos, just for the heck of it, to see what they're like. And a good trope behind some of the dragon-based ones is the dragon has captured you, and you're not part of his hoard, and in fact, he calls you his jewel or his treasure every now and then, because in these roleplay videos, they can't use a name or anything.
I don't understand. I've never heard a decent, realistic, or even one that I accept reason why dragons ever kidnap princesses. I've never heard a valid reason why that's a thing.
Age of Fire says because they just liked the smell. I guess like just the hormones in the air.
So
the smell kind of.
So if you are a beautiful young woman, but you're a peasant, like, does that mean that you're not gonna? Like, what happens to you when you become royalty? That changes your scent.
Your ego is so huge that it releases its own pheromone.
Yeah, but most
the dragon likes.
So I'm gonna go through a couple of things that I've read. So let me finish listing off the 3 or 4 that I can think of. Okay. In Vinkir the Dragon, kidnapping of princesses was a sport mostly attached to the status of it. In Age of Fire, they didn't kidnap princesses because they wanted to stay away from humans, but the idea was that females just had a pleasant smell that could get the males kind of riled up. If you remember, C. Dracon collected them. And
the
he
human
would kind of creep for it. Yep. There are a couple other books where they would kidnap a female because they would be able to sing. They could play musical instruments or they could sing, and that's usually in medieval times what the females were taught. The males were taught how to rule the kingdom, and the females were taught to sing, to play music instruments, to keep house, basically. And so that's why they were taken, just for entertainment. Somebody mentioned that they could just be taken for bribes. You take the princess and then hold it hostage and hold it for ransom. You could probably do a prince for that too, but again, with all traditional style fantasy tropes, the princess was more damsel in distress, please help me, while the prince would probably try to fight his way out.
I guess I can accept doing it for sport, because it's kind of like capture the flag at that point. It's a heavily defended location with knights and armies and a king, and and it's like, what better way to show a kingdom that they are pathetic and worthless than swooping in and stealing their treasure, which is their princess. I guess that makes sense. But any other, like the smell, I don't know.
I mean, it might be a little weird, but I could see it. Especially in a lot of fantasy worlds, humans are usually the very promiscuous people, so they would have the hormonal smell to get other creatures riled up.
I guess I could see it if I had a kobold that smelled like dryer exhaust. Yeah, I'd probably capture him.
Oh my god, I would never let him leave.
I know it's so bad for you, but the smell of dryer exhaust is so intoxicating. I love it. I will sit in front of the vent for forever.
I love the smell of wet grass after it rains.
Petrichor?
If that's what it's called.
Yeah, that was the whole joke with the farting.
The thing is, the word petrichor is ruined forever for me because of that stupid show.
Yeah.
Dilettante, what's your favorite smell?
Chicken.
You know what? Honestly enough, there's going to be another bit of dragon news. I've lost my appetite for chicken.
No.
It finally happened.
No.
I'm so happy.
No, you're not. It's miserable. This is what the holiday blues does to you. I've lost my appetite for chicken.
What have you been surviving off of?
Sleep.
Mac and cheese. Sleep. I'm going to have sleep for dinner.
I have. I've just gone to bed. I haven't eaten.
That's sad. That's That's seasonal depression.
Yeah. It's no bueno for the dilettante. But, fuck, what was the question before I even got on that weird tangent?
What's your favorite smell? Since we just kind of gave ours.
Let's use kobolds because I don't like thinking about human princesses. Like a kobold that smelled of something, like what would make you want to keep him forever?
Easy, fresh linen. I'm addicted to scented candles, and the best ones to get is vanilla and scented linen or fresh linen.
Oh, Tanith got a scented candle a while ago, and yeah, we got a fresh. It's either fresh linen. Oh, sun-drenched linen. That's what it says on the thing.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It's so good.
Also, Village is worth the price because it doesn't like fucking soot up your house. It's about one of the cheaper ones, and like everything got covered in black. My bed sheets, my mattress is like part black.
Wait, what?
I feel bad for my air conditioning. Yes. Cheap candles. A cheap candle with a really shitty fuse releases like black soot everywhere. Village, it may be high price, but it's clean.
Yeah. For me, because it reminds me of my childhood, my mom used to buy incense sticks and burn them whenever the house, needed to smell nicer. And she always got Nag Champa. And Nag Champa being one of the most common, you always see the box, it's blue with white and with red text. And Nag Champa is one of my favorite incense sticks. I'll always burn Nag Champa. But one of the things I used to love doing is going to like trade shows and sniffing incense sticks to see which one I wanted to get. And, I always, like, my aunt would take me to these things and I'd get incense sticks and she'd be like, oh, just stick them all in this bag. And I'm like, no, the scents will mix. It's like seal the bags and, make sure that they don't touch each other. The thing is that, like, as far as incense burners, I actually have a dragon incense burner. It's a chibi hydra with like a 5-headed dragon, and it uses the cone incenses. But what it's supposed to do is you put the incense cone on a little tray and then put the dragon on top of the tray because the inside of the dragon is hollow, and the smoke is supposed to come out of all 5 of his mouths. But it doesn't.
Oh yeah, I get the exact hydra you're talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't do shit. it might come out one of the mouths, and then it will burn itself out because there's no air, and it's
no air.
And it's
intake,
like, and I fall for it every fucking time.
I think you need to put it on like a little stand so that you can get air coming from beneath it. Or
yeah,
something.
maybe. The way the instructions say is it's literally like a twist key platform on the bottom. And it's
also something you can buy at Walmart, so you got Walmart quality
going
on there.
It's like $9 and it's garbage, yeah.
Looks cool, though.
Yeah, where we end up on the kidnapping of sentient creatures?
I don't know.
I support it if... because...
No, specifically they don't want to be there. Because if they want to be there, I feel like that's more of a follower and less of a I'm collecting you for my board.
I'm okay with it. I can find any reason to justify it. They will love me eventually kind of thing. I will Stockholm the shit out of you.
Just let Stockholm Syndrome take over.
Yeah,
eventually.
like, you're not allowed to leave, make no mistake, but at the same time, I'm gonna be super nice to you until you love it.
That's actually one of the things that gets brought up in those little ASMR videos. It's like, I'm not going to hurt you. Why would I hurt one of my treasures? But you're not allowed to leave ever again.
I can never listen to one of those ASMRs. I always cringe out way too fast.
There have been a couple good ones that aren't super cringy, but there have been several that I'm like sitting there and I'm like cackling like this is so bad. Eventually we'll have to make one.
Nope.
$200 Patreon. If we make that much, we'll make one.
Make one what?
An ASMR video.
I mean, I'll do it.
ASMR roleplay
I'll
video.
do it.
Have fun with that.
No, Dilettante will take part if we can get $200 a month in Patreon.
Killing me, Smalls.
Any other hoard related topics you can think of? Because I've run through my list.
Not that I can think of.
I wanted to talk about my OCD hoarding, so I'm satisfied. And hopefully someone out there will recognize what I'm talking about and send the book to me, because it was the first one I ever read. I was like, man, this is neat.
The one book Dilettante read.
It was in a school library in North Carolina, which now saying it probably got burned. So, damn it.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Damn it.
If only we had downloaded it digitally to keep it forever.
Yeah, the book name was called The Truth About Dragons. I don't know the author.
You can't just find it from Google with the name.
I tried it. There's a lot of children's books of The Truth About Dragons. They're like 30 pages. And there's like one sentence each. It's like they're a bunch of picture books. It's not the one I'm talking about. And Ray, I know what joke you're thinking about making. Hush. Joke about my reading level.
I know, but now we're thinking it.
Uh-huh.
Once upon a time, there was a dragon named Dilettante. He liked fried chicken. Everybody liked him. The end.
But then one day, the fried chicken was all gone.
And then it's just a picture of Dilettante crying in bed.
So he had to find a new favorite food. And then we go through like 10 pages of him trying different foods.
Green eggs and ham, but dragons eat.
Dilettante, is that the book?
Holy fuck, that's the book.
I think you're just bad at looking for things.
I've never searched books before, okay?
The Truth About Dragons, an anti-romance by Hazard Adams. What a cool fucking... That's got to be a pen name. No one names their kid Hazard.
I mean, some people probably do.
Does it have an audio?
It does not look like there's an audiobook.
Damn it. Oh, I can handle it.
It doesn't even look like there's a Kindle version on this Amazon webpage.
Probably, I mean, if he remembers it from his childhood from, school, then...
It was published in 1971.
Yeah.
Really?
Thing is I feel like a book needs to reach a certain level of popularity before anyone even considers that kind of stuff. Like, you'd think...
I figure kindling something is really easy. You just kind of scan the pages and go.
Oh my god, it's only 179 pages. No wonder why I read it.
Oh, poor Dillaman.
It's one of those books that you could stick in your pocket.
It is funny though. Well, there you go. We now found the Dilla book.
Damn, there's no picture of the actual like book itself. Just like there's a cover, but I want to see like the first 2 pages, see the text size and the spacing on this thing.
I got through it pretty fast though. It's not that big.
All right. This is not insult. This is not a trying to insult Dilettante thing.
Why not?
This is like legit. A lot of people that I've that I've heard of who read a lot when they're kids and can't now. It's just the way a young person's brain is they are just a steel trap for information. They will. When I was a little kid, I could read like there was no tomorrow, and I can't anymore. It's like I'll read a page and I'll have to reread the page like 3 or 4 times because my brain just refuses to absorb it. And it's like, but when I was a kid, I was reading a book every day and then, telling Pizza Hut, hey, I read a book, give me a pizza,
Oh my God. I remember the reading program for Pizza Hut.
And whenever I had to do a book report in school, the times when they would let us choose our own books, I always agonized over the choice because it was like, I want to read a book because we would always have to give an oral report on it, to the class. And it's like, oh, I want to read a book so cool that everyone's like, whoa, what book is this? I mean, realizing as an adult, the truth is that no one was paying attention until it was their turn to, but yeah, it's like I loved reading books. I still own some of the books that I used to love reading. If you consider choose your own adventure light novels to be reading, I have a ton of those.
There's another I read like 2 while I was in North Carolina. The Truth About Dragons, and there's another one where a guy was the son of Houdini and could survive anything, but he didn't know it, and he was like super depressed, and that's like all I remember about it. It was so fucking weird.
That does sound like a really weird
it was so fucking weird.
Well, I got bullied. So when I was in middle school, I got bullied a lot, which stopped real quick when my uncle taught me how to fight. But there was one time where we had to in literature class, we would put a sentence up on the thing from a favorite book of ours. And then we would dissect the sentence to show, predicate, adjective, and nouns and verbs and all that crap. And when it became my turn, I was in the process of reading one of the old style D&D Choose Your Own Adventure books. And so the sentence I wrote on the blackboard was, the rainbow dragons telepathically enlisted the help of the adventurers. And I got teased so fucking bad to the point where right after class, this one who was like ringleading the whole thing, I just punched him right in the mouth. And he had braces, so it like completely cut up his face. And it was just like, I was so proud to put that sentence up there because I love dragons and I loved reading D&D books. And then to have kids just mercilessly mock you all day for it. And I was just like, nope, not dealing with this.
Bantam's
I became one when I was in school because I was a chubby little nerd with double bridge glasses and I was the target of every joke, and it wasn't until I started just straight up attacking people that people left me alone.
All right, we about ready to bring this to an end?
Yeah.
All right, Bantam, thank you for joining us.
Hold
everybody.
on, who won the debate? Treason Inventor.
There wasn't really
We weren't really debating anyway. It fell apart really fast, and we just became a talking and sharing our opinions.
Just
on
needs
things.
to pick a winner. Yep, sweet.
No, Venter, cast your
fair
votes.
and balanced.
The only points ever awarded was half a point to Bantam, and that's what we're going now.
Fair and balanced. Love it. Treesonix, you're the best.
Just remember, if you
know
want
what? How about this? You listener, you let us know who you think won this pseudo debate. Bantam, how can they get in contact with us?
God damn it, Venter declared Ray the Ritter. You're out of my horde.
So they can find us on Twitter. Dilettante, what is the Twitter? I deleted my Twitter, my personal Twitter account, and then I deleted the bookmark, so I don't even.
It's at official Wadpod.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. That's it.
And our email is at official. Crap. Well, because I changed browsers and it's not saved anymore.
He upgraded to Firefox, superior browser.
I thought it was like saved in like your saved messages or something.
Right, you're right. That email is wadpod. So you can reach us at wadpodcastmail@gmail.com. We have a Discord, which will be linked in the show notes, and we do have a Patreon, and the Patreon is patreon.com/World of Dragons podcast. If we get to $200 a month in Patreon, we will release ASMR videos.
An ASMR roleplay featuring Dilettante.
I think y'all are killing me.
Yep, that's how we're gonna get it.
Even
Even
if we don't get any patrons, I still love the little kobolds that I got for the tiers. Every time I look at it, it just fills me with such joy.
They're really cute images. You can become a kobold by donating $2.
It's actually
yeah, I think 2 is our lowest one, right?
Aspirin.
$1 and you can be a kobold.
$5 you can join our audience.
A studio
and vote on
audience.
debates.
$5 you can $5 you can be here live as we record if you're awake during the same time we are, and $10 gets you a special shout out. Thank you, Comrade and Kazin. All right, well, thank you for joining us, listeners. Next episode is going to be mostly a Ray driving episode, because I read so much more than these two, because it is my field of expertise. It is I have the most interest and the most stake in this.
It's also my natural.
I'm going to be going through the list of all the dragon related books that I've read that I can remember at least. I'll try to look at my like Audible library and my Kindle library to help me keep track. But I'm going to basically just rapid fire review like a couple paragraphs each. It's not going to be super in depth, but I'm just going to go through my backlog and be like, hey, this is good because of this reason, this is bad because of this reason. And so just come chill out, relax, maybe hear something that suddenly interests you and you want to read it. These two, I'm gonna try and give you guys some jobs to do, like pretend you're eager listeners and ask me questions so that you can help steer the conversation.
Okay. Oh, I'm good at that.
By the end of the episode, I'm gonna force you two to pick your favorite, and that'll be the next thing we read.
You monster. I knew it was a trap. I knew there was something. I knew you were trying to do.
I need some way to force you to pay attention, or you're going to be playing video games on the other monitor while I'm just rattling off information.
So Ray knows that's impossible for me because it'll be obvious.
And I'm not closing Evil Genius 2 right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's one of the reasons I'm invisible on Steam and everything else in Discord. It's like I don't want anybody knowing what I'm doing.
I mean, I still know what you're doing.
Yeah, you do, but especially if you come into my room and I'm quickly like click, 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 and then I look up like, what's up?
Dancing with a desktop. There's nothing on it. It's something suspicious.
Yeah, he'll come into my room and I'm staring at my wallpaper. Well,
that's how you know he's hiding.
The only time I've ever had to hide something from Ray is when I'm playing a video game and I'm cheating and I'm using like a cheat. I'm either using Cheat Engine or the other cheat program I use. Forget what it's called, WeMod. And he recognizes the gear icon of Cheat Engine. So I'll be playing a game and he'll come in and be like, what you doing? And I'm like, playing this game or whatever. And a lot of times I'll just stop playing the game and just like talk to Ray. And he's like, play your game. And I'm like, all right. And then I'll play the game and something will happen. He goes, well, that's weird. How'd that happen? And then like someone will message me on Telegram, which brings my bar up and flashes it. And he'll be like, oh, look at the Cheat Engine logo. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Because like I play games to have fun. I don't play games to suffer. And it's like, especially after work, you work an 8-hour shift, you come home, you just want to play a game. And only with single player games, granted, but it's like a lot of times I just don't want to deal with struggle. Yeah. And
shame.
Well, because like even when I admitted that I cheated playing Golden Treasure, and even the creator's like, well, hey, as long as you still enjoyed the game, I don't condone cheating, but the alternative is I wouldn't have played it. Like if I'm playing a game and I kind of like the aesthetic, but I'm having trouble with it, if there are no cheats for it, I'll uninstall it. I'm done playing it for a really long time until cheats get made. But
You could just get good.
I don't want to get good. Like
I don't have the patience to get good. I just want to get
I
entertained.
thought you were gonna say get fucked. It's like what? You're like I just want to get entertained.
I mean, that's kind of a mood, though.
Well, like so
No!
so we're playing we're playing the World of Warcraft expansion, and I made a Drakthir, and I made him black, and I named him Bantam, and I'm like, they're fun, but I don't like cast bars. I never liked casters in any game I ever played. When my most used class or job in Final Fantasy XIV's MMO is Machinist, because Machinist is a ranged DPS. I have a gun. I run around, and I can move constantly while firing at the enemy, so I never have to worry about positioning. In World of Warcraft, I'm playing as a Beastmaster Hunter. I have 2 pets that are, just most of
Giant
my
snakes.
They're most of my damage, and then I have a gun, and I run around and I just press buttons as they light up, and I'm almost never in any danger. And it's like if my pet dies, I cast one ability, I revive my pet, and resume the fight. And it's like and a friend of mine who lives World of Warcraft is like, he said it kind of disapprovingly. He's like, that hunters are easy mode, right? And I'm like, yep. And he's like, oh, you like that? And I'm like, yeah. I don't want to fucking struggle when I'm playing a game. I come home from work,
The struggle is so validating, though.
Yeah.
The hard day at work is already your validation. I don't want to revalidate myself after like grinding for 8 hours. You know what I want to do? Fire at Ratchet and Clank, get my high-powered weapons, and just blast everything.
Okay, well, mindless grinds are one thing. Like, I don't like mindless grinds. Just like Monster Hunter, you have to fight this monster 17 times to get the freaking 2% drop so you can make your
Fucking Legiana.
That's dumb. But like games that are hard, like the best example I always have is just Dark Souls, but there are plenty of other ones. Mostly roguelites have the insane difficulty spike to them. But so games that are hard, when you finally overcome the hurdle, it feels so good. And I don't like Phantom cheating, not because he's got to play it my way, but because I feel like he's robbing himself of that endorphin rush when he finally beats it.
So that hurdle itself is something I don't want to deal with when I get off work. You think I want to spend all day climbing a hill to climb another hill when I get home as a form of relaxing? No.
Here's the thing, because he used Dark Souls as an example, which I was too. In Dark Souls 3, the armor set I liked the most, and the one build that I liked the most was the Lothran Knight. I loved the Lothran Knight's armor set, and I loved all the Lothran Knight weapons. Farming for that armor was a goddamn nightmare, and the first time I did it, I had to do it legitimately, and it took me 4 hours of killing the same 10 enemies over and over and over. And then I got Cheat Engine, and there was a little tick box for a script that made all enemies have 100% drop rate. And so I'd kill one Lothran Knight, and he'd drop the entire armor set and his weapon. And it's like, that is what I cheated for. I never cheated to beat bosses. I only ever cheated to farm a bunch of bullshit so that I could just have all the items and get my build up and running.
Yep, that's okay. There's a really weird gray area with like and we're going to keep using Dark Souls as an example, but this can be applied to any game, where if you were to cheat to overcome the farm of gathering souls so you could level up, while that is used, like in essence, you're just bypassing a grind. At the same time, that is the grind. That's kind of the point of the game. If you suddenly are like level 200, then the game has no point to it anymore.
That I will agree.
So it's like there are certain grinds that you can't really cheat to bypass. It's like, to use Monster Hunter as an example, while I don't want to fight this monster 17 times to get the freaking gem, I'll fight him 5 times, and if I don't get it, then cheat it to myself.
The only other time that I think that I justified my cheating to Ray, and he totally accepted it, was playing, we played, when Monster Hunter World first came out, it was on consoles, it was on PS4, PS4. And we got really far. Like, we had beaten Xeno'jiva, and we were waiting for new patches or whatever, but then the game came out on PC, and it was such a hassle because we don't own a TV. We have to keep switching the monitor inputs for our computers. Because it came out on PC, we decided to make the switch, and so we switched over to PC, and now having to do all of that over again was a fucking nightmare. And so I just used Cheat Engine, and I put on cheats where all the monsters would drop 5 times the amount of materials they normally did, as well as every available thing it could drop. And I would just do that. I went in and I started editing my box so that I had all the equipment I had from my PS4 version, and got myself back to where I was in like a day. Diletan and I have all three of us have a running gag where Diletan, like Ray and I
played Monster Hunter World with these 3, and my primary class is Archer, and Legiana had the best Archer armor. Me and Bantam set some time aside to try to get the armor set, and it took literal days
of fighting Legiana.
Of fighting this fucking wyvern again and again, and to the point where I got sick of hearing the name Legiana.
On top of that,
it is now my most hated monster.
On top of that,
Legiana is now like an over-clingy girlfriend that we keep saying at Diletan now as a meme.
Yeah, the thing is like Legiana is also the most verbally annoying. Her scream is just ugh. And so listening to that scream constantly was like, all right, I'm done. And so, Diletan put in work. He got the armor set. And by the time he got the armor set, he's like, I don't even want to play this anymore.
I've done my due diligence. I've said my mission is complete. Hang up my arch, hang up my bow. I'm done.
He's like Ray. He found smithing and that's it. The game's over.
In Skyrim?
Diletan got his armor. All right,
so we tangented again after.
Thank you for joining us on our episode about hoards.
Our episode that was like half about hoards and half a tangent on digital media. Pirating is not okay unless ...
Here's the thing.
And then farming and cheating in video games.
You can cut all the stuff at the end after we said goodbye, and that's just extra value for the studio audience.
I mean, I'll probably leave it in. Well, we'll see. We're in an acceptable podcast length right now.
Listen, we should keep it all in because these episodes are good to introduce new listeners in that don't want to jump in midway and figure out what the fuck the podcast lore is about. We need the tangent a bit so they understand who we are and if we're worth listening to. So keep it in.
Spoiler alert, we are very worth listening to. We are the best podcast out there. Tell your friends. All right, anyway, yes, thank you, and we will see you guys next time.
Goodbye.
Bantam, you're muted. Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
There it is. Goodbye.